Alfie we've gone the other way now. So we're going to Alfie, who's at junior school, year 6 student, and he is going to talk about what autism means to him. So social communication, interaction, his interests and sensory differences. Perfect. Right, over to you. Thank you.
Right, so this is just my slideshow for today. Okay, so hi, my name's Alfie. I'm in year 6 and I was diagnosed in July 2021. I had lots of meetings at first with a couple of people from Cognos, and obviously I was very new to it and I didn't understand what autism was. So yeah, I had quite a few meetings to help me understand what was going on really. So yeah, that. Okay. So today I want to talk to you about my experience. So I struggle with telling people that I have autism. So for me, it's like Harry Potter saying Voldemort. I just say sometimes I've got it, or sometimes I just address it as Jeff. Really. So at first I was nervous to meet the two new people from Cognos, but I quickly realised that they were calm and understanding. They built a trust in getting to know me by talking about my special interests and played games that I am interested in, I think that says. So yeah, I'll tell you my interest in a bit. So how I understood my diagnosis. So a year before I was diagnosed, we had an assembly at school about autism. I think it was actually in Autism Week or Autism Day. So yeah, and the things that they were saying were very true to me as well, such as struggling with changes to routines, sensory issues, like people touching my head or hair. And also I've got a special interest that none of my friends share, which is cars. So when my mum and dad told me I had autism, I said I didn't say I already knew, but I had a feeling that I would have had it because of that assembly, and it was a bit of a relief to find out that I had it. So yeah, that's that. So what I find difficult, so using a pen that is scratchy. So at school we have to write with handwriting, fountain pens, and I found it really scratchy and I couldn't write with it. So my school gave me a special pen where it's got a grip on it, but I think the top of it is like I think it's called a V ball or something, where it's just a ball that runs around on the paper. So yeah, I find that easy. Certain cutlery. At my mum's house, we've got cutlery that has got plastic green bits on, and I don't like the feeling of it when it's just normally, but I think when it's really bad, it's after it's just come out of the dishwasher. I don't know what it is, it feels really weird in my hands. The next one is having my hair washed or cut, or my nails cut. As I said earlier, I find it really annoying when people touch my head or hair. I feel comfortable with myself touching it, or myself washing my hair, myself cutting my nails, but when someone else does it, for some reason I just really don't like it. Certain noises, such as like maybe a knife or fork scratching on a plate, or squeaky brakes on a car, and sometimes just even if it's rubber, like in a car park, if someone turns their tires and the rubber just scratches along the floor, I find that really annoying. And not being able to feel emotions. So for me, it's when it's supposed to be almost like a sad day or a happy day or something, I don't realistically feel the emotions that everyone else are feeling. So like everyone else might be feeling really happy or something, and I feel really nervous or scared. And when maybe something bad's going on, like sad and people are crying, I'm sitting there with a smile on my face just because, as I said, I don't feel any emotion. For the next one, as I said, not being able to read other people's emotions. So as I said, like in school one day, someone might be sad or the whole class might be sad, and I'm there all, as I said, so I might be nervous, might be happy, like I can't really control my emotions that well as other people can do. So if routines or timings are changed, so at school we have a time board where it tells us what's happening every single day, going down like in a list. So say for example we've got literacy at 9:30 and it gets moved, I don't know, to 9 o'clock. I always struggle with moving it, like with doing it differently, like because most people would probably understand it and they'd be fine with it. But for me, I have to stick to times and they have to be on time every single time. So like, and when it's one of my favourite subjects, like PE or PSHE, and it, say for example, it's at 10:30, but it either gets moved to like 2:30 or we don't do it, I always really struggle with that. And I think once in year 3, I did have a bit of a meltdown about PE, because it got moved from, I think it was 11:30 to, and I don't think we actually done it because it was raining, but all the other classes had done it. So I had a bit of a meltdown and I didn't want to go outside or anything. So yeah, sleeping, like falling asleep, staying asleep and getting back to sleep, I really struggle with that. So sometimes I might go to bed at 6, but I might not fall asleep till 9, but then I'd wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning and I wouldn't be able to get back to sleep. And then obviously I'd be getting up at 6, 7 o'clock to go to school the next day. Also my sleep affects my mood. So say I have a 12-hour sleep, I wake up all fine, happy, just fine for the day ahead. Whereas if I got maybe a 6-hour sleep, 7-hour sleep, I'd be quite grumpy, or yeah, just grumpy, a bit angry. And also fairness, everything is black and white to me. So with sometimes, so I get in trouble at school quite a bit just because some of my friends can be a bit annoying and like, oh, you don't have autism, oh, you don't look like you've got autism. I get quite annoyed with that, and then when I like shout at them back saying, oh well, you don't look like you're smart or something, and for me it's I done the right thing because of what they were saying to me, whereas in like how everyone else sees it is I done the wrong thing, whereas if I left it they would have got into trouble, but because I've got myself into it, I'd be the one in trouble. So the next one is I don't find it easy to relax. So when I go to, I don't know, when I go to bed, I can't relax. I have to be doing like reading a book or just trying to think of something that I really want to do. But like when it's during the day and we need to sit down on the sofa or something and just watch a film, I can't do that. I have to be, I either focus on something and like bounce my leg, or I move my hands, or I just don't stop talking. Then I think the only times that I can relax is when I'm on my Xbox or my PlayStation, because that's literally where my mind just turns off. Because most of the games that I play are car games, so that's when I'm almost like in my element and just relax. So yeah. What helps me? So when I speak to a trusted adult, I think most people would say this as well. When they speak to a trusted adult, they feel much better. When someone takes the time to know me, I don't mix with many people. If I make friends, I stick with them and that's it. Like I don't go and try to make friends with anyone else. Sometimes when it's just me on my own, I do try to make friends. But like at school, I would try and go up to people that like in my class that I wouldn't normally mix with, and they would say, that they would either not give me a chance because just who I am, or yeah, and then whereas if they give me a chance to talk to them and explain a bit about myself, they seem to get to know me a lot more, and they also seem to have a bit more understanding about the way that I act. So yeah, using different cutlery to my family. So as I said, with the green plastic ones, I don't like using them. So I've got just normal metal stainless steel ones. So I use that to my family. Lots of preparation before my haircut or jobs that I don't want to do. So sometimes when I need to go and brush my teeth, for example, my mum tells me like 15 minutes before, and then she comes in when it's 10 minutes and then 5 minutes. So yeah, that's that. And fiddle toys and distractions. So I don't have them with me today, but normally I have little fiddle toys. So like a little ring that I roll up and down my finger, and also I don't know what I'd call it, but like a marble in a little bag, and I just squish the bag and the marble rolls up and down it, and I keep them underneath the table, and like so I'm just sitting there in class and I'm rubbing my hands up and down it, and yeah, so that's that. Visual timetables. So yeah, as I said in class, we have a visual timetable. I think without it, I don't know what I'd do. I'd probably have like a meltdown going into every separate lesson. So yeah, that's quite good to have. Knowing what's happening and being included in planning. So at school, my teachers would come up to me. So say for example, we're doing a literacy lesson, and then I finish my literacy early, so I finish off my maths, for example. Sometimes I'd struggle with going from one lesson to the other, just like that. So sometimes I'd sit there with my pencil in my hand, just sitting there looking at the paper and then looking around, and my teachers would come up to me and just ask me if I'm all right and everything. So yeah, and they're explaining everything to me. Homework timetable. So at school now, because obviously this is, I think, the last we're going into the last term of the year before I go to high school. We're getting lots of homework books to try and do. Obviously, high school, the amount that we have to do every single day. So at the moment, I think we're doing 5 books, but I was really struggling with doing 5 books a week. So I cut down to ask if I could do a couple. Like at the moment I do 2, but I used to do 3 or 4, because the other 2 we finished. But yeah, having that timetable would really help. So yeah, having a safe space at my school and at home when I don't feel happy. So at school, I would say, for example, we were to have we're playing football and my team have lost, and the opposite team are like nagging at us, going, "Oh, how you lost? You lost." Before I would get angry and like not. Sometimes when I get angry, I lose my head. Realistically, it's sometimes I'm not able to control myself. Sometimes I am. But also I think I've been improving a lot on not losing my head. So I think it's more when I have got control, I go to the library or I go to the teacher that I trust. And at home, it's from here, maybe upstairs and in my room, just lay in my bed and read a book, for example. So relaxing time, my Xbox. So as I said earlier, the only time that I can really relax is like on my consoles, like my Xbox or my PlayStation. So as I said, I play car games because that's what I'm interested in, and yeah, just playing games where I drive cars. That's just really relaxing for me. And also my cat Bonnie and my dog Rolo. My cat's really relaxing. She can be really funny, which also does help relax me a bit. So sometimes she can be a bit annoying because she actually boxes, like hits me. Whereas my dog, he's only a puppy, and he's a little cocker spaniel, so he just jumps about, tries to lick you whenever he can. But when he's calm, he can be really nice. Like he'll come and lay next to you, and he'll like lay on your lap. He's always really excited to see me because sometimes I'm at my mum and sometimes I'm at my dad's. So having them two at each house is quite cool to help me relax as well. So yeah. What other people think help me? So my family tries to keep all routines the same. So at my mum's every morning, it used to be get up at 6:30, go downstairs, have a quick cup of tea, then get dressed and then leave. Now it's more get up whenever you can, maybe before 7:30. No, not 7:30. Yeah, 7:30. Come downstairs, get dressed, have a cup of tea, and then go. And obviously at my dad's, we do have a bit of a routine, I'd say. It's not always the same because sometimes one day we might just be having a relaxed day. The next day, I don't know, we might be going to the beach to see some friends. So here sometimes it's like a mystery to see what's happening. So my family just tries to stick to arranged times. So as I said, I'm very on top of, I have to be there on time. I have to do everything on time. So my family tries to do maybe get up at, I don't know, 6:45, 7:00. At 7:30 we have breakfast. At 7:45 we get dressed. At 8:30 we leave to go to school or wherever we're going. So yeah, that's quite good to have. Early nights. So for example, we have a really busy day. We're all tired. We're all a bit grumpy. We have an early night just to almost relax ourselves, and then I have a longer sleep, which means I wake up in the morning and I'm happy. I'm just ready for the day. So understand me and my sensory needs, for example. So I can't read the rest of it over to the side, but so to understand me and my sensory needs. So it's when I need some time. Like I don't like people coming up to me and giving me a hug, or I don't like people coming up to me and like start stroking my head or something. I always find that really annoying. And also when I need my space, I need my space. When I want to go outside, that's when I just go outside when I want to. Well, not necessarily when I want to, but when I can. When I can. So explaining things to me and answering questions. So when I'm nervous, I ask pretty much 100 questions a minute or something. It's I just don't stop talking, as I said earlier. But sometimes when we go to theme parks, for example, we're about to go on a really scary ride or something, and we're in the queue, and I go, "Is it scary? Does it have loop-de-loop? Does it go really quick?" I always have all those questions, and most of the time, my dad especially, they go, "I'm ignoring you for a minute. I'll give you some time to think about this." So most of the time I'm asking a million questions, and I do get quite a few answers, but not all the time I get the answer that I want. Because also sometimes when I went on a theme park in Disneyland Paris, I said to my dad, "Does this ride have loop-de-loops?" "Nope." we got there 3 loop-de-loops in the dark, so I didn't like that very much. Distractions. So, as I said, like it kind of goes with fiddle toys. It's when I'm really struggling in it, because we're practicing for the SATs at school. So we have practice SATs in front of us, and I'm sitting there and I'm looking at a question. I'm like, I can't do this, and I'm really struggling to breathe. I'm like going for as much air as I can. Sometimes just having the fiddle toys under the desk can help a lot. So yeah, so distractions. My family understanding that the temperature affects me very well. Like if I get if it gets too hot, I get grumpy. When it gets too cold, I'd say I get grumpy as well. So I think as long as it's for me, it needs to be in a certain range for me to have to be happy, I'd say. So yeah, when it gets too cold and I say, can we go home now? My family do understand why I want to go home, or when it gets too hot and I say I want to go home, they understand why. Relaxing, even though I never want to. Yeah, everyone seems to think that relaxing helps me. As I said earlier, I really struggle to relax. But then sometimes when I can relax, it does help me a lot, because then, as I said earlier, I really struggle to breathe sometimes. I go for as much air as I can. Sometimes relaxing just can make me like catch my breath, almost slow down my heart rate a bit from like, yeah, just it feels like sometimes it's going to explode. So yeah, a shower or a bath. I think also underneath being by the water, I think they come under the same thing. I absolutely love the water. I love swimming. I don't like drinking it. That's the only thing I don't like about it. But it's, yeah, when I go swimming, or sometimes even when we're at the beach, and I'm just laying there on the sand or the rocks, and all you hear is the water coming in and then going back out. That really helps me to relax a lot. And sometimes I have my Alexa next to me, just when I go to bed, and I have so some people with autism might understand this as well, that sometimes when we have special things, like certain noises that we have, that we like, sometimes I shut my eyes and just sit there and listen to it. That helps me a lot to calm down. And when I'm around places, for example, my mum sometimes gives me her AirPods, and because there's also a filter where you can just shut out all noise. So sometimes I have that on, and sometimes I have special noises like a water feature where it like goes down and everything. So yeah. So what I enjoy and my special interests. So ever since I was about 2 years old, I had a special interest in cars because my dad used to be a mechanic. But it was around when I was 5, my interest grew massively. So when I was little, I was able to memorise every number plate that my family members owned. So I'm interested in anything with an engine, but cars are my special interests. I could tell you make and model, what engine it has, miles to the gallon, price, top speed, and year of manufacturer. So for example, a LaFerrari has a V12 twin turbo engine with an electric motor producing 1,200 horsepower, which produces around 220 miles per hour. This weekend I'm driving 2 supercars and an experience day. I'm very excited. So yeah, 2 supercars I'm driving. So yeah, conclusion. Thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to me, and I hope you understand more about my autism and daily challenges. Remember, if you need any information about cars anytime soon, I'm your man.
Thank you so much, Alfie. And I do think I might need to get a new car soon, so I might have to come back to you on that one. That was so interesting. There's a lot of things that I could identify with there, but being near water, when you talked about the water trickling and it being calming, I need a lot of sleep as well. and I
Yeah.
ask a lot of questions. Nothing wrong with asking a lot of questions.
No.
Just keep doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you covered so many different things about, there's lots of ideas there, I think, that people could use to help other people, things that you find calming.
Yeah.
Now, I think a few people might have questions for you. I've got
Yeah.
some in the meantime while we're waiting.
Yeah.
So one I thought of, you mentioned you don't like haircuts. What is it
Yeah.
about haircuts?
I think it's more the fact of it's people that I've never met before, and they're literally touching me. They've got machines that I don't know how they're gonna use them, and then like they grab your head and they like move it around and they go like that. So sometimes I find that really annoying. And even when it's like my mum who's touching my hair, because I don't know what she's gonna do, I don't like it when someone touches my hair, apart from myself, and that's it really.
So it's kind of unpredictable,
Yeah.
and a lot of sensory stuff going on, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, you said about you felt kind of relief when you were told you are autistic. Why was
Yeah.
that?
So I think it was when there was a lot of, I think for me it was people realizing the way how I act. There was quite a few people that didn't understand the way the reason why I acted that way, and the reason why I behaved in certain ways. So I think now people knowing that, now being diagnosed with autism and telling other people that I have autism, it helps quite a bit, so people don't go around like, oh, he's weird because of how he acts. Yeah, so it all makes sense when I just go, yeah, but I've got it. So yeah.
Yeah. And you said as well about sometimes people said, oh, you don't look like you've got autism.
Yeah.
Do you think there's anything that would help your friends to understand more? I mean, probably this talk that you're doing is helping people.
Yeah, I said earlier because I was watching a couple of the ones, a couple of the presentations, and quite a few people saying that there's questions like this. For me personally, I said to my stepmom earlier that there isn't really a look for autism. Like people all look different because everyone is different, so there isn't really a look for autism. And also, just because just because I might act different to some of my other friends, doesn't mean that just because of how I look and how I behave, doesn't mean that I'm presenting a whole lot of people, if that makes sense. So I'm not, yeah, so I personally would say there isn't really a look for autism, so you can't just assume that I don't have it. So
yeah, definitely. And hopefully talks like these ones that you've done and other people today, and the assemblies that go on in schools will help to educate people as well. Now, I was going to ask something about secondary, but I think we might have some questions in the chat about that. So, Louise, do you want to read out some of the questions?
Yep, definitely. Yeah, there are a couple of questions about secondary school, actually. Someone said, you've given us lots of useful tips that help keep you happy and relaxed. Thank you. Are you excited about going to high school? And what have you done to help prepare yourself for going to a new school?
with going to high school, there is certain things that I'm looking forward to seeing and doing, and there's quite a few things that I'm very nervous for. So I'm going to Cheam High in September, and I'm quite excited because a lot of my friends are going there, and I have got I've got a family member who goes there, so I'm quite excited for that, but also quite a few like trips and new experiences. I think with also me not looking for like certain things that I'm not too keen on is the more work. As I said, I'm struggling with the work that I'm doing now. So to go on to double that every single day, I'm quite nervous for that. So yeah, and also with the rest of that question, what are you doing to prepare yourself? I've been looking at all reviews for Team, and at my school they've given we've requested the smooth transaction thing to go transition to Team. So people from Team High will come to see me. I'll go to Team for, I don't know, a day or something to see how everything works. So yeah, I think that's what I'm doing to prepare myself. So yeah.
Brilliant. That's a really good idea, I think, you're doing all of that. Someone said, Alfie, the best thing about your journey so far is that you are now really beginning to know yourself and recognise what you need. I'm very proud of you. And that's from Mrs. Collins.
Oh.
Another one about school, which I think you've already sort of answered. The next one says, I loved hearing about Jeff. Great idea. I once had a problem I called Sid. Really useful to hear about routines and your top tips for frequent reminders before an activity takes place, like brushing your teeth.
Yeah.
Then they said, do you have any tips or advice for if unplanned change happens that means you can't be prepared in advance?
I think, for me, I don't think I've had it for long enough to know what to do. I think for future reference, I think I would more be, because for me, it's when we do our special lessons, we do it every week. So for me, it doesn't matter this week because we'll either have it next week or in a couple of days. So yeah, and also the people around me, I need to trust them. So yeah, I think that's it really.
Brilliant, thank you.
Right.
And that was all from the Q&A bit, but there's been a few really lovely comments coming in as well to the chat. Someone says, thank you, Alfie. I can relate to all of what you say as my son's the same age as you and has autism. Enjoy your supercar day. Lots of people saying it was very useful. Well done. Very informative. Very clear. Yeah, loads of really good stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I was just thinking back to what you said about you feeling different emotions, because I was looking at you then, you know, grinning away, smiling to yourself, looking really proud of yourself, I think. And I'd say that maybe you just experience emotions in a slightly different way, or you know, or not exactly the same time as other people. But yeah, definitely enjoy your car day tomorrow, and you might be getting a few requests for some advice for people buying cars. Thank you so much. That was a great way to finish, and for starting your Easter holidays by coming and talking to all of us. So thank you so much, Alfie.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So that was the last talk of the day. So I'm just going to quickly put back up this information just to touch on. So following on from here, we have got a range of information on the Cognos website, which you probably would have seen in the break. We have sections on the website where you can click on families or professionals, and that will take you to information about what we offer. We do regular advice sessions, so parents can sign up for a monthly advice session, a kind of 30-minute slot to discuss their young person and maybe get some ideas and tips. We do that half-termly for schools as well. And we do one-off understanding diagnosis sessions, which is what Alfie mentioned is one of the Cognos people he'd worked with, as somebody to talk about what autism means. And I think today has shown how important it is for individuals to embrace their autistic identity and understand what that means for themselves. There's also a range of resources that were designed for Autism Week, but we do have another 51 weeks in the year. So they will still be there, and it's not too late. There's lots of books related to autism you can get for your schools to have as a class reader, to read at home. There's display resources you can put up in your school to celebrate the autistic identity in your settings. And there are resources you can use in lessons to help the whole peer group to understand autism better. So do check those out, and you can also find regular updates on our social media channels, on our Twitter @Cognos_autism, and on Facebook